All right, I'm going to talk about teaching copyright using the Assure model. So for A, analyze learner characteristics, the first step in the Assure model. Um, I would describe my students, the ninth graders, as 14 to 15 years old. They're from low-income homes, are culturally and linguistically diverse, and majority Latinx. They're digital natives. My class is generally bored by traditional lesson formats and mediums, so they learn best when technology is integrated seamlessly into all aspects, and when they're able to collaborate and create things in pairs or groups. They can conduct internet searches and use many apps. They communicate neuron level in speaking and writing. They lack the prerequisite knowledge to use the internet ethically, though. They don't have any background knowledge of copyright law. About two-thirds of the class read on grade level. Four students read above grade level, and the rest read below grade level in English. Many are bilingual, though. And there are no students with special ed or students identified as gifted and talented. State objectives. Students will identify copyright rules and demonstrate their knowledge by evaluating a hypothetical scenario involving an original work and intended use. So that's my objective, but I base that on the TEKS 9.2a, seek and respond to advice from peers and professionals in evaluating problem solutions, and 9.5a, discuss copyright laws, issues, and model ethical acquisition of digital information by citing sources using established methods. That's the primary TEKS. The other one, though, does have to do with that collaborative group aspect. And then the technology, ISTE, standard for students. Students use technology to gather information. Select strategies and resources. So the teacher-centered strategy I'm using is to start the lesson is a video presentation on copyright guidelines. The student-centered learning strategies are the small group collaborative discussion and analysis of fair use. That's when they use the online fair use tool, graphic organizer, in their groups discuss and document their analysis of the hypothetical intended use of an original work, or a series of them actually. And then also the student presentation of their fair use analysis. And then students are allowed to trans language as they work in groups, use any of all of their languages during the practice activity. That's just an important bilingual strategy, learning strategy. The online fair use evaluator, and I've put the link here, is free of bias, easy to use, uses language that students can understand. It has accurate and current info and aligns with the objectives. In fact, like that tool is an activity and also an assessment, and I had that in mind when I made all of my slides. So the language in there is the same on my slides, but actually perhaps simpler. It's more like a digital GO that helps students organize and communicate their analysis of work using the factors of their fair use criteria, but provides scaffolding by identifying the four factors and tallying their selections for them. It does not do any of the thinking for them beyond reminding them of the four factors. Utilize materials. So I preview the fair use evaluator tool, did some practice uses of it, and the video presentation. Before using those, I prepare the resources and environment so resources would be designing the rubric, creating the hypothetical scenarios for each group on a Google Doc, and adding links to the class website, and then adding the copyright video link to the class website so that it becomes a resource that they may use for their classwork and future reference, and also setting up they have the link on the website to the fair use tool, and then making sure all the laptops and internet connections are working and checking that they're connected to the printer. The fair use tool makes them quickly print up a PDF of their final analysis. And so that's what they'll present. They'll be able to use that when they're presenting, kind of like notes, and then they turn it into. So that's what I will assess with the rubric. And then prepare the learners, the presentation of copy, which is why the printers need to be connected. Prepare the learners, the presentation of copyright law prepares the learners for the learning activities. So there's no other pre-activity that needs to prepare them for that part. That part is preparation for the following activities in which they do analysis of fair use and copyright law. Require learner response. Student practice activities. The online fair use evaluator, as I mentioned, assists students in organizing their analysis of fair use. And the tool doesn't do any thinking for them, but they do have to comment in writing. They have to do the analysis, and they can talk amongst themselves, and then they document it by typing into each box what evaluating whether it favors fair use or infringement, and their thinking around that. And it specifically asks them to give an explanation based on what they know about fair use. It also supports students by requiring them, and it calculates an average at the end. So with each factor, the students might choose a box that's near fair use. They're pretty sure it's fair use, right? And the next one, they might decide that factor may actually, that they're uncertain, or it might be sort of lean towards infringement. So at the end, the tool will tally up for them what they themselves have evaluated. It's the only other scaffolding that provides. And then students are given multiple hypothetical scenarios to practice with, and are allowed to use my video and any online references. The student groups finally present one of their scenarios to the class, so this allows the rest of the class to learn from each other's examples and them to have another moment to practice again and learn evaluation. So we use rubrics to assess each group's demonstration of copyright knowledge by evaluating their product, the printed out PDF of their online evaluation of fair use, and determine the extent to which they met the objective. We also give them an exit. We'll give them an exit ticket at the end of the lesson, and this is a way to communicate with them to understand how they assess their learning experience and any questions they have left over about copyright or otherwise. And that is it.